What's up, y'all? Today I'm going to be showing you how to do a really quick utility plugin, and that is a snap heap rack that lets you add a send reverb to a snare or any drum. You could do this for any drum that you wanted to do, but this one I did it for a snare because that's one of the most common applications that I need it for. That just takes a snare and without the snap heap here and adds a little reverb gated tail to it. And I can go in here and boost the signal and make some really quick adjustments. It's a simple rack, and I'm going to kind of talk the way, I did this one live, so I'll kind of talk through what and why I'm doing everything I'm doing. So with that, y'all, let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is take this snare, route it into a mixer track, and then open up a snap heap. Then I'm going to take the first two buses, serial 1 and 2, and change them into parallel buses, so parallel 1A and parallel 1B, and that just means I'm cloning the signal, so it takes my snare and makes it louder because it just copies, I have two different identical snares here, whatever I'm inputting into this snap heap. And I can solo one of them out and then add a reverb to it. So that's kind of the first steps of this. The next thing you're going to want to do, turn your reverb mix all the way up. And as you can hear, it adds this really loud boomy tone to the mid-range, which the 120 or 80 all the way up to 1K maybe. That can get really messy, so the next thing I like to do is add a filter and cut that low end out. So I'm going to go into my filter here, change it to a high pass, and then just kind of scoop off that low end. And I can go with the sharp filter. I can go with a little less of a sharp filter. I could even do a low shelf and kind of leave some of that in there if I really wanted to have a textural. And I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to just go with the high pass. So now I have that going into my reverb, and I'm going to add the next couple effects that I find useful for this. So the first one is a delay. And the reason for this is now if I turn my solo off, turn my mix all the way up, and so what I want to add here is one copy of my snare. So as you can hear, it's doing feedback. I don't want that. And now I have a snare that's cloned that goes a little bit delayed. Now if I turn all this on, I have delay that starts after the snare. I'm going to kind of move this before the reverb so I can do it without it pitch bending. And now I can go in and kind of shape my reverb. So I'm going to turn the size way down, turn the decay way down. And now dampness, what dampness does, and I'll kind of show this in a unique reverb. If you don't know how dampness works, it does the same thing that a low pass filter does, but to the decay length. So if we have a really long decay here, we're not just adding a low pass to that reverb. We're adding a low pass to the time function of the reverb. So as you can hear there, I might shorten this a little bit. The high end of it is way shorter now, so it's cutting off 100 decibels per second of the high end compared to the lowest end of the sound. So it can be useful to making any reverb sound. Because also that's how frequencies work. Low end frequency signals travel really far and keep their amplitude or whatever, whereas high frequency signals in acoustic spaces, they get dampened and they dissipate more quickly. So the next thing that I'm going to add here, and this is at this point I would say if you have this, you could add macros. And you might add one to the time and all that, but I really don't even like to do that. If you understand the way these effects work, I would say just save this, and you might even maybe make the delay longer and turn it off. So then when you start designing your send that you can add super easily, you just turn your delay on, kind of tune this in. And I like that. And then these, I wouldn't add macros to them because it's quicker to just go in here and adjust these unless you have multiple reverbs that you're doing it to. So the next thing that I think is useful to add to this, if you want to kind of get a little deeper into how to make this even better, is add a gain, turn it to 0%, and then add a audio follower. Now this, the first thing that I want to do to it is add a remap, and I'm going to just change this to be, yeah, I need to turn this on so it snaps. Change this to a straight line, I would say. How do I do that? There we go, straight line. And what this is going to do is get rid of the zeroed amount here, and now I can kind of route this into here, route this into my reverb gain, and then set it to 50%. And so now I can do a quick reverb tail. I'm going to turn the gain up. And I want to add some release. So even if I have a really long decay now, it just adds a really easy to adjust and like visualize tail shaper to this, right? The next thing that's useful to add here is, I would say, chorus or any width effect, or really any flavoring effect. I think I'll stop the tutorial here because the rest of this would just be like, try adding a chorus, try adding a bit crusher, try adding distortion, right? And that makes it really loud. And then before I end this one, I'll just say, again, turn the delay off, turn the gain off. That gives you a starting point that you can kind of add the delay after you start, then add the gain and shape it with this. And then just kind of mess with what you kind of add to it after that. So you have a nice balanced starting place, whereas like my preset that I has a couple too much effects on it to start out with, where I get kind of identical results every time. EQing is another kind of helpful thing to have here, and 3-band EQ is just the quickest one. Lastly, after you set this up, just remember, adjust the gain. Use the gain knob. The gain knob is really useful here. Don't use the mix because that's changing, letting through the dry signal. You want to just change how loud your reverb is. And you end up with something like that. So with that, that's going to do it for this one, y'all. Thank you for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. And if you want to support, you can do that by going on Patreon, going on to Gumroad, and buying sample packs. I have like a full all my sample packs bundle now that cuts a couple of bucks off the price of every one of them combined. So thank you for watching. I will see y'all in the next one.